get all that money? I don't know, but you owe it anyway. It's like, you're going to have to pay it. Pay it now, pay it later. That's the second school of thought which will never fly. The third school of thought which is gaining popularity is privatized. Private retirement accounts. Private retirement accounts. Okay, so here's the deal. I've worked all these years. I've thrown money into the jar. And let's say I retire tomorrow. And I start getting my check. And next week I die in a car crash. Okay, well I've paid money into this system for 45 years. I paid a lot of money, and my employers have paid in out of my salary that same amount. And I get one check, and then I die. What happens to all the rest of that money?
Hopefully it goes back.
Do my children get it? No. Does my husband get it? No. It just goes, it just means, oh good, she died. That means we can whack that off right there. Maybe they'll get rid of the seatbelt law and the airbag law so more people will die. So that's the thing about Social Security. It's not an account with your name on it. It's not. If you die after receiving one check, all the rest of that money, I mean, look at this guy here, this rich guy, who had paid in, if he retired in 1995, he paid in $170,700. If he gets his first check and dies the next day, what happens to that $170,000 that he just goes away? As opposed to him, over all this time, taking $170,000 and investing it, and he retires and dies the next day, what happens to the $170,000? It goes to whomever he's dedicated it to. If he wants to go to his children, if he wants to go to his brother, if he wants to go to an animal shelter, whatever he wants is where that money goes. Because it's a private retirement account. So that's one of the differences between Social Security and a private retirement account. It's actually an account with your name on it, into which you put money. And when you retire, it's your money. And you do with it what you want. So that's one thing. Now, a real big argument against private retirement accounts is people. Well, the first big argument is, oh, look at the stock market, what it's done. You're talking about investing in the stock market. Look what the stock market's done. It's crashed. What if these people had invested about $170,000 and he retires and the stock market crashes? What if he does? When you retire, do you withdraw all of the money that you have put into the market over 45 years? Not if you think you're going to live for another 20 years. You withdraw a little bit each month, don't you, to live on? What do you think the stock market has done in any 40-year period, which is sort of a working life? In any 40-year period you pick, including the Great Depression, put that in your 40-year window. What has the stock market done in comparison to the return that you'll get on Social Security? Well, you just have to know that. The worst 40-year period. The worst 40-year period, bonds increased 3 to 3.5%. The worst 40-year period. The worst stock market period, 5 in stocks, equities. There's a difference between, this is bonds, this is stocks. Stocks are riskier. 5 to 5.5%. This includes the Great Depression. Social Security promised, this is what Social Security promised, 1 to 1.5%. Where's your money better off? going to have to increase your taxes or decrease my benefits, in which case I won't even get 1.5%. It's a bleak picture. Okay, so if you want to compare the stock market, and people say, look, this last year, what if I retired this year? I'm just out of luck because my investments have decreased by half, 40%. Well, how long do you plan on living? Another 20 years? What do you think that decrease is going to look like 20 years from now? It's going to grow. I mean, just look at the market. Where's the market? I don't think there's the market. Here's the market. Here's the Great Depression. Here we are. Oh dear, look. Okay, so people are still, they say they're too risk averse. There's nothing riskier than Social Security. That's my opinion. Nothing riskier than Social Security. But, so another argument is, okay, well, so we like the idea of privatization, we like that, but people don't know anything about investing. You think the guy who earns minimum wage knows where to pull his 15.3%? And the answer is no. Look, I don't know where to put my 15.3%. That's why I have a broker who that's what he does for a living. He figures out where to put, your 15%. But, so you don't want to hire a broker. Okay, so let's see if even Forrest Gump can figure this one out. So, we say, we're going to go to a privatized account. Actually, they did this in Chile. Is anybody in here from Chile? Jose Pinheiro, about 22 years ago, privatized the retirement system in Chile. And you were given a choice. And there are a lot of different proposals about how to go towards privatization. One, the form takes this, another one says, no, let's do it this way, another one says, let's do it that way. You could do it in a lot of different ways. What Jose Pinheiro did in Chile 22 years ago, he said, you have a choice. You can either move into the privatized system, which, by the way, you would still be forced to save. It wouldn't be like Milton Friedman's idea, let them save if they want to, let them not save if they don't. Maybe people are, eat, drink, and be merry because tomorrow I'll die, so I don't want to save. That's Milton Friedman's idea. The privatization idea, that the ones that are presented here, don't give you a choice. They still force you to save. Forced savings. There's a lot of people who object to that, but let's go with it. Forced savings. So, here in America, what we have, and here's one of the proposals. Oh, let me tell you what happened in Chile. 22 years ago, you could have a choice. Within 10 years, 95% of the labor force in Chile had moved to the privatized system, which has returned